There we go. Cue the music. Corner to Corner is live in 5. What's going on, everybody? And yep, your ears aren't deceiving you. Surprise, surprise. Welcome to Corner Wrestling Radio. I'm Stan Grubb from a multiple location station. My tag team partner is here, Ryan Taylor. What's up, man?
What's up, man? You need like a new intro, though.
I know I got to work on something. I was actually thinking of it earlier today, and I was like, man, maybe I could be like, what's the guy from WKRP, Johnny something? I don't remember his last name, but I wanted maybe something to sound like him just to be funny. But I don't know. I'm working on it. I'm gonna put pen to paper and start writing stuff down. Oh man. Hey, it's been a while since we were on the air. Let's first disperse with the brief explanations of it. Honest to God, this is the easiest way to say it, but shit happens, life happens. um, had some stuff happen just professionally and privately, and just had to kind of play catch up. It's 100% on me. I apologize to everybody. But here we are. We're back. Today is day one, literally day one, as we are January 1st, 2024. Raw is doing their special of day one, which is happening right now. And just Saturday, 2 days ago, in AEW, World's End. The end of the world came. Looks like we got a lot of different things to cover here. So, hey, might as well just go ahead and give me my flowers now, Brian, because guess who was right about who was the devil?
Oh. Man, you put me on the soapbox already, right?
Here we go.
Like, I didn't want to go down this path.
Drop it like it's hot.
Like, when did everybody turn into, like, Dave Meltzer, right? Oh, my God. And there's no offense to you. It's no slight at you, but, like, I flipped through TikToks, right? And everybody's like, oh, my God, I was right, but this is so disappointing. You know, I was right, but, but there was, Kyle or whatever. We were all right because it was so easy to see. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But it was so easy that everybody bought into it wasn't going to be him, that everybody is now right when they were right 4 months ago or 3 months ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, whenever this storyline happened.
Right.
It's crazy. You know, it's absolutely crazy that everybody's right, but yet, it's like everybody, wants their flowers. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like what you just asked for. I want my flowers. I was right. Well, no shit. Everybody was.
I didn't say it was a hard prediction. And for the record, I myself am happy about the result, because even with the added addition of Wardlow to it, I'm extremely happy with it, because it gives an actual heel faction. Now, what they do with it, who knows? But it's big enough to where they actually could be on Ring of Honor and AEW.
Yeah, I think though that this is going to be different, right? Something tells me that we're going to go down a different path with what AEW does now. I think this is going to scream that somebody else is handling or helping or guiding Tony Khan, right? Because you could literally take this faction and build momentum with it, and hopefully, though, somebody's there to steer the ship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because word came out. MJF, there's no word on the contract, but he's out due to injury, right?
Mm-hmm.
He needs to rest up, right? So then, if the focal point of the devil was MJF and he ain't there, why would you sit still with him? Like,
Right.
I would just have him start running through everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I if I'm Adam Cole, I sick him on FTR. I sick him on, you know, Sting. I sick him on anybody that walks in front of me. Um, and then that way they at least do something.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Instead of just sitting idle. Um, I do think though this particular, and I think this is why I find it so amusing that everybody's right. Um, everybody screams that AEW doesn't do storytelling,
Right.
and they've done storytelling. It hasn't been the best. I'll say it hasn't necessarily been the best, but they've done storytelling or tried to do storytelling or whatever you want to call it. And
Mm-hmm.
again, everybody just wants to. There's people out there who just want to poop on it. So like you can't win. Nobody's going to give. Nobody gives them a fair shake. I guess. You damned if you do, damned if you don't.
I mean, I feel like with AEW, you do have this certain air of like a fair weather fan. Like, oh my God, Kenny Omega's on TV. AEW's best thing ever. And then MJF is on TV. Oh my God, AEW sucks. Like, really? That quick, huh? Wow. First off, MJF. Granted, he is better as the villain, and I'm confident he'll head into that villain role shortly after his return, wherever that is. Um, his face run was tremendous. I thought he was having some of the best matches in AEW over the past year. Now, granted, there's some of them were a little hokey. I give you that. A little bit of a Super Cena sometimes. But the fact that he was able to go from, you know, cussing out Tony Khan in the middle of June the year prior to the top guy in the company carrying it on his shoulders, mainly vending Wembley Stadium, all of these different things. And, people like to snub their nose or thumb their nose at that whole Wembley thing. But, you know, last I checked, pretty much everything in wrestling is a work. So if you're gonna, you're gonna jump on WWE for quote unquote fudging the numbers, and they have multiple times, and then you're gonna jump on AEW for fudging the numbers. Do it fairly. If you're gonna jump on AEW and say they're the best when Kenny Omega's there, but they're not when like the story aspect of what MJF was doing isn't there. Okay, so it wasn't for you. I get it. You don't like it. Cool, fine. But at some point, it becomes the ultimate conversation of, dude, just turn it off. Or, hey, just turn that segment off. Come back when there's another match. It's not like they don't have a lot of wrestling on their show. We got Thunder Rosa who just came back. We'll talk a little bit about that later because we got some rumors to touch on. But so many people that have been out due to injury over the past year and a half, I think AEW has done a great job with the hand they've been dealt. You keep getting people getting hurt. I mean, you don't have a choice. You have to book what you have.
True, true. But I don't know, man. It's just sometimes it's just like hard to listen to people.
Oh, it
Like,
is. It is.
and I'm not picking sides here, right? Because there's a lot of stupid shit that gets said about uh, the WWE. But it's like nobody really out there, and the ones that should be able to do this, like even they seem to like tend to cater to their fans.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Instead of like praising the good things that people do, and again, any company, right? You have fans that bash AEW, or people that bash AEW, you have people that bash WWE. I'm sure you have people that just literally go out there and bash Impact as well. But I think it's time that like everybody just grows the fuck up. Like people are going to listen to you, and you ain't necessarily got to just rip people apart all the time.
Well, to me, it always comes back to the old adage of if you don't like it, don't watch it. Like seriously, like it's not that deep. We're talking pro wrestling. People are like looking for fucking Shakespeare. It's like, dude, Jesus Christ, man, it's not that. It's never gonna be that. You
I
may
don't.
want it to be desperately, but it's not gonna be there ever.
Yeah, but some of these people, like, it reminds me almost like how it was for us as kids,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I get there's like some passion or something involved here and all this stuff, but I mean, just some people just go a little too far.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, this is why I hate AEW because it turns out it was Adam Cole and I was right. What? What?
Last I
So
heard, being right was a good thing.
yeah, so you hate AEW because they did a storyline and they didn't trick you or they didn't belittle you or make you feel stupid. Wow. Like, I mean, I get, there should be some shock, but Jesus Christ, if your emotions are this caught up with the reveal, then they got exactly what they wanted from you, and that was an emotion.
I think sometimes it's like people are they're waiting for some kind of magic to happen, like some kind of like, oh my God, it's Hulk Hogan on AEW or something. Like it's just those moments that people want so bad. Those are few and far between. In my opinion, people are waiting on like the most unlikely of possibilities just because they want to be able to say that was cool. Why not just enjoy what's there before it's not there? Like we're in the middle of 2024 is a very pivotal year for a lot of companies. TNA is getting ready to launch their rebrand officially with what is it, Hard to Kill later
Mm-hmm.
this month. That's a
Mm-hmm.
huge deal. If TNA can continue their growth pattern that they've had, they go from being not talked about to holy crap, maybe we need to look more at Impact or TNA than NWA. Or maybe we need to look at it more than, you know what I mean, like a different company. Ring of
Mm-hmm.
Honor is consistently being taped and broadcast through Honor Club. Now, I don't know what their subscription numbers look like, but if in the renegotiation of television rights, they're able to, solidify a half hour, an hour to show Ring of Honor TV, then it becomes, oh wow, there's another company there. Never mind the fact that WWE is going to be renegotiating theirs, and there's not really a guarantee that Monday Night Raw stays on Monday, much less on USA.
Oh yeah, but it's not on USA, right? Because that's where SmackDown's going, right?
Well, both of them technically both can be on the same network. I mean, they've done it many times
Well,
before,
yeah,
but
I get
you know,
that, but they've already come out and said right now, Raw doesn't have a home.
right,
And
right, right
did,
now they're actively looking.
yeah, did NXT didn't they get picked up?
Yeah, the CW of all places.
Isn't the CW part of the WB though?
So I thought so. I don't know if it is anymore, but I thought it was.
Hmm. I thought so too, with all the like the Flash and um, all that stuff.
The Arrowverse and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was based off of that, but
Even though sadly the Arrowverse is gone.
yeah, no more.
That sucks.
Yay, good riddance. No, I'm just kidding.
Damn. I thought Arrow was good. Flash was Flash was okay. Like it was pretty good first few seasons, and then it just kind of fizzled out. It was just cool to have them all on, have the Flash on TV. It's cool to have Superman on TV. Now, even that, I don't think that's getting another season.
Probably not, because they're probably going to reset everything.
Hmm.
So they will probably reset everything. But yeah, getting back, like just stop, just slow the fuck down, because again, do we want to go back to 2019 with the WWE? Do we want to go back even earlier?
Right.
Right. So this is what people don't get. Like, competition is good. We should welcome competition,
Hmm.
because then it's going to push the business as a whole.
Right.
So, hey, I get it. You don't like it. Well, fucking tell me what you do like, because I'll, me as like, if I'm watching something on social media, I'd rather hear you tell me what they do,
Hmm.
what's positive. Because again, if you're constantly just ripping and tearing something down, you're only going to attract those individuals that are in the same boat. And what's interesting about today's market is we have no clue on what the actual numbers are outside of the Nielsen ratings. But
Right.
there are all types of ways to watch programs nowadays. And if you don't believe me, go to YouTube and pull up AEW and look at how many millions of hits they have on matches. We're
I
in
feel like
a new era.
I feel like the Nielsen's is just such an outdated product. It's an outdated process.
There's no doubt about it. It is. But I mean, again, look here. Let me grab my phone, because I noticed this the other night. Because I love me some AEW media scrums. Right? You just never
Yeah.
know how to play out. Right? Like,
Well, and Saturday nights, Sunday mornings was no different.
yeah. I mean, sometimes they're the best thing on TV. I mean, let's not forget that now in my head, right? In my head, based off that media scrum, I have a match that I would have never thought of that now I truly want to see. Tony Storm said she was going to fuck up Wendy Richter. Right? Did you see it?
That was probably the best part of that whole scrum, by the way, is
Oh,
Tony.
Tony, yeah, Tony was absolutely phenomenal, right? And again, instead of ripping something down, you should be telling people, "Hey, go watch this. Go become a fan of Tony Storm." Like,
Hmm.
she is starting to click on a different level that we never thought we'd get out of Tony Storm, right? But anyway, like it. But in my mind, I'm like, holy shit! That let's put that in a dream match. You know what
Hmm.
I'm? Like, I know I'll never get it, but that's what dream matches are. The matches you'll never get, that all you can do is talk about it. But now I want to see Tony Storm versus Wendy Richter. I would love to see Wendy Richter be like, you know what, Tony Storm, I'll meet you any place, anytime.
That'd be great. How old is Wendy Richter now, anyway?
Oh, I could not tell you, but it's. I know she'd be older.
63.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
Wow.
but hey, May Young and goddamn uh, Moolah
That's
wrestled.
true. I was just saying they, they were active well into their 80s, which is
But
ridiculous. But
we don't need no stinking hands, right? That was clever on the WWE's part. Like, the company that can't do no wrong. Some 90-year-old woman gave birth to a hand.
but
Absolutely madness. Absolutely madness. Crazy. But yeah, that's. I mean, like. Oh, let me type this in right.
I would have really liked if during the scrum, if they had the black and white thing going on when Tony was talking.
Oh, didn't they cut that at one? Didn't they do that at one time in the scrum?
So they did it. They did the. Maybe they did do it at one point. I don't. I'm not sure.
All right,
I
so
feel like
here,
they did.
this is what I'm talking about, right? So I just typed in AEW Dynamite Wrestling,
Hmm.
right? I'm not. I don't really fool with YouTube outside of like music or video games, so I'm not even sure if I'm on the right page. But here we go, right? It's got the little AEW seal. Former TBS champion Chris Statlander takes on Sky Blue. 136,000 views 4 days ago, right? So then you take that segment and you can figure out how many views were on TV, right? This number should technically get lumped in that. So 800,000 people were watching that segment. Well, here's another 136,000 you can lump in there. Renee Paquette dives deeper into Mariah May's motivation and her debut. So this is when Mariah May says, "Well, I'm going to be on Dynamite next week." 111,000.
Hmm.
Like again, this is like there are other ways to count this stuff now. That's what people have to understand.
Right. I mean, and it plays across the board. Um, uh, we're gonna talk about it because I mean, come on, you had to know I'd bring this up. But CM Punk's return to WWE had some
Oh
kind of
God.
crazy amount of views on YouTube, like 11
Oh
million or something
God.
in like
Yeah,
2 hours.
yeah. I mean, like those numbers. Like, get out of here. Brian Danielson versus Eddie Kingston from 4 days ago. 303.
Hmm. Hmm. The entire,
Uh,
by the way, the entire Continental Classic is free on YouTube right now.
nice. The tag team match where MJF loses his title.
Hmm.
530. Like,
Which to me that doesn't make sense that people would say that MJF's storyline wasn't drawing numbers because when you look at YouTube, you're like, well, 500,000 some odd people wanted to see that tag match. Okay.
yeah. Yeah. And the problem is, by the time they watched it, it was probably out what happened.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But this is where we as a community have to take our collective heads out of our collective asses
Hmm.
and push the business because it may not be there one day because you didn't do your part. Right. And I get it. Hey, man, I'm a big deal on TikTok. I got 150 people watch my TikToks as I talk about wrestling. No, sadly, you're not. You're just some dude making a TikTok video. Just like we're some dudes talking about wrestling. Do your part. Be positive. Push the business. Push the industry.
Right. Because
Go watch.
otherwise, what do you got to talk about?
Yeah, go watch an indie fed and report on that.
Hmm.
You want to do something positive. Sorry, man. You got me on the soapbox. It probably will
No,
happen.
no, that you know me. If I feel like there's gonna be a moment we can pull into our show, then I'm gonna pull it in here. But that's here's the thing, and I know we're gonna jump all over World's End and everything, and that's just how it's gonna be tonight. But when you look at kind of getting back to that actual topic, when you look at what that presents, realistically speaking, it gives opportunity for five guys, not only five guys, but I'm talking about the faction itself.
Right.
Roddy Strong, Taven, Bennett, Wardlow, and Adam Cole. Every single one of them have something to do now. So for fans of the Kingdom, for fans of Wardlow, for fans of Adam Cole, everybody has something to do. This is why I consider Tony Khan to be a relative genius. Because everything that led up to that moment, and yeah, okay, a lot of people have said it. You're right. Yes, it was predictable. Okay, but is when in wrestling is predictability a bad thing? In my opinion, is when it's been done to death.
Well, listen,
But this hadn't been done to death.
I'm going to say it, and this might offend the people,
Uh
but you
oh,
got waterhead to watch wrestling and not realize how predictable it truly is.
that's true. Very, very true. You got to
Like
be
it's
some kind of special to. Did not realize that the tongue in cheek is firmly there.
Yeah, and listen, it's a brand new year. You might as well consider it after dark. Put the disclaimer up, whatever. Like, I don't care, right? There's cussing, there's unsavory things that are said. I don't care, right? I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have fun from here on out.
I think a lot of the time, and we've talked about this privately, but a lot of time when it comes to doing the show, I love doing the show. I know you do. I know Rob does too. The problem that we run into is that, and maybe I've done this. I can speak for myself specifically and say I've taken myself too seriously when it comes to covering it, because sometimes you get so, God, I got to talk about this, got to talk about that I forget, and I have forgotten at times. It's supposed to be, fun. It's supposed to be something we can laugh at, joke about, enjoy, sure, complain and gripe about, but at the end of the day, like you said, it really is about the furthering of the business. Because
Correct.
if there is no business, then what the fuck are we doing here? Obviously,
Correct.
we're hanging out, which is cool. I have nothing wrong with that, but it gets frustrating. And you're right. You make a very good point. You have to remember what the purpose of what you're doing is. And the purpose is to further the business. Because
Correct.
all of us at one point or another, when we were kids, when we got older, wanted to be Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, Hulk Hogan, The Rock, whoever, right? Somebody
Right.
wanted to be in the industry at one place, shape, or form. Now we have been blessed with the good fortune to have been able to do a great number of things through the
Now,
show and outside of that. And I think it gives us a great perspective on it. I still think it gives us a very unique perspective.
yeah, but for the record, I never wanted to be Shawn Michaels. I wanted
No,
to
no.
be the slap the taste out of his mouth.
You wanted to be Bret Hart.
No, I didn't want to be Brett. I want to be the guy that squared them eyeballs up. I'm just kidding.
I think that was Kane.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Brian wanted to be Kane. He wanted to be the one that made him look left and right.
No, square them up, straighten them up.
To fix him.
Yeah, to
Oh
fix them.
shit.
I mean, he just needed a good whack. If shit, straighten that shit right up.
How many concussions do you think Shawn Michaels had?
Oh my god, a lot. Like you like anybody from that era, like before concussions became a thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because again, everybody said it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you had to go out and work.
Right. Interesting. I'm just sitting here and I'm wondering, like, because that kind of damage that gets done over the course of time. It doesn't just happen once. Much as I joke about Kane doing it to him, because that's what he attributes it to, a concussion he got from Kane. But that kind of damage, I mean, when you get a concussion, that's your brain rattling for your eyes to get fucked up. That's that's a whole nother level of rattle right there. That's like, holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
HBK is going to forever be my favorite. That's never going to be a question. It's just the guy. But uh, at some point, back when WWE was caring about their performers, because I know that sometimes it's in question. You think somebody would be like, hey, buddy, um, maybe sit this one out. Maybe you're
No,
not quite cleared to compete.
and that's no different than any other company that was in business at the time.
Right.
Um,
Well, any professional sport.
yeah, well, yeah, that's true too. I mean, you had to go out and make a living, and back then it was a little bit harder to come by. Um, Almost not harder to come by, but you had to get out there and make sure you stayed out there to keep your
Hmm.
keep your money flowing. Because again, back then everybody's replaceable.
Right.
Uh, so I get there's no telling the amount of injuries that some of these people are going to have throughout the course of their career, and I'm shocked some of them have held up as well. some of the retired guys have held up as well. Because again, back then, you were pretty much just straight, like, the lifestyle was absolutely ridiculous.
Hmm. I mean, to be fair, I'm surprised Ric Flair is able to speak. Like, I don't mean that as a dig. I just mean the amount of bumps that guy took over the course of time, because we always look at it like the litmus test of durability for a performer, I think, has to be Ric Flair. The guy was performing literally every single night, every single city, every single town he could get to. And then when he was done performing, he would perform at the hotel. He would
Mm.
perform with his friends. It was never ending. So to me, it's crazy that he's not only still alive, nothing wrong with that, glad he is, but at the same time, still able to function in any capacity. Arn Anderson, same thing. Tully, all of the Horsemen, to be perfectly honest with you, because their partying days is the stuff of legend. You'll never, ever, ever find that in today's industry. Well, okay, if MJF was truly pinning shoulders on mats and banging rats, maybe MJF, but that'd be about as close as it would get, I think.
I don't know, man. You went down the rabbit hole. Like,
I'm
we're
good
gonna
at
have
that.
to rein you back in. It's funny. What else you got? Since you know,
We're
got
all over the map. Let's pull it up. World's End
nah,
results. 8-man tag. We had the Continental Classic.
that was a
Eight
mess.
man.
Don't
Yeah,
skip
it
it.
was. It was kind of weird. Did it seem like they just didn't know what they wanted to do with that match, or what?
Well, so I didn't like. I'd stepped out when it first started. I came back in and there was a mess of tables and people underneath of it. Is that's the one you're talking about, right?
Right, right. It was Jay
Where
Lethal,
Luchasaurus?
Claudio. Yeah.
No, no, no. The one where no, was that first
You're
or
talking. Oh, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about Sammy, Jericho, Sting, and
no?
Darby.
Are you talking about the buy-in? You,
No, this was the match that started us
the
off.
buy.
The
Well,
actual
yeah,
pay per view.
yeah, but you missed the buy-in. So in the buy-in, there was some big battle royal for a title shot somewhere down the line,
Hmm.
which we'll get to later. But that was a mess. I mean, they were like chairs all or tables all over the place. It was like straight garbage.
Yeah.
Then you had Willow. There was a female match that was bad. There's a lot of botches in that one.
I read the results of the Willow Nightingale match with Chris Statlander. Statlander lost. Did I read that correctly?
I did watch. Again, it
Okay.
was bad. So I
Okay.
was concentrating on um, talking to Rob at the time.
Let's see here. Hook and
But
Yuta.
there were a lot of botches though
Yeah.
in that one. Yeah.
Hook and Yuta. I read that Yuta cut a heel promo. Um, and then basically Hook beat the shit out of him.
Oh, he bloodied him.
Did he?
Mm-hmm.
God darn. I'm a Hook guy. I like Hook, but I, is it bad that I think Yuta should have beat him?
No, it was for the FTW title.
Yeah, but okay. Yeah, yeah. I give you that. I can't really argue that point because FTW is it kind of stays with him. Yeah, fair point.
Yeah. Um, and I think that was the buy-in, right? Those three.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So yeah, we had Claudio, Brian Danielson, Mark Briscoe, and Daniel Garcia against Jay Wyatt, Rouge, Brody King, and Jay Lethal. What happened between Daddy Magic and Brody King? Can somebody explain to me why Brody King hates Matt Menard.
Well, I mean, how much of an what type of explanation are you looking for?
Like, why was he telling him he wasn't gonna do shit and calling him a bitch? Like, what the hell? Was
So
it
why was
strictly because of Garcia?
Matt Menard even down there?
I have no idea.
Why was he down there during the C2?
So he did during the C2. He did
Mm-hmm.
cause a distraction to Brody King, which gave Daniel Garcia a victory.
Well, maybe that answers your question.
Boo! Boo! Lame. As Sonny would say with the lame bot. Although his putting that in there for the Kingston match, I thought that was dumb. Let's see here. That was Garcia getting the win, by the way, against pinning Lethal. Miro and Andrade. Miro had claimed that he was going to keep away from Andrade throughout the entirety of the Continental Classic, but once it was over, all bets are off. That's what led us to this match. I don't know. I kind of got the feeling this match was kind of messy, but it looked more like they were just reestablishing Miro as dominant. That seemed to be what the goal was. Had a few moments by Andrade, but ultimately CJ Perry kind of double crosses him, even though if she double crossed him, she looked like semi happy. She didn't even really sell it all that well. But anyway, Miro
Boy,
wins the match.
now the storyline is going to be that again Miro's been denouncing her,
Right.
and now she's going to try and make him a believer again or whatever. Try and tempt him or whatever, probably.
I feel like with Miro, they still have such opportunity with him. I just want to see him on TV more. So if we have to see the CJ Perry storyline a little bit more, that's okay, as long as we see Miro in the ring. Let's see. AEW Women's World Championship, Toni Storm defending against Riho. I actually liked this match. Shane in our chat said he thought it was kind of sloppy. I did not. I thought it was actually pretty good.
Well, I mean, it's Toni Storm. Like,
It's timeless.
yes. I didn't mind it. I'm not really a fan of Riho anymore, but I'm a fan of Toni. So as long as I got to see Toni, what do I care how bad it was?
Not a fan of Riho anymore?
No,
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I like her. She was different, right? But it's still she needs to do the black gear like she did that one time.
Hmm.
Maybe just smack somebody in the face.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. A little bit more aggressive Riho. Gotcha.
Yeah, a bit more
All right.
aggressive.
I'm with you on that. With you. Let's see here. Swerve Strickland against Dustin Rhodes after Keith Lee was pulled out of this match due to injury, which is absolutely unfortunate. Um, this
You
match
know,
did what it was supposed to do, I think.
um, real quick before you get into it, yeah. I mean, ultimately, Swerve wins, right? That's what we want. But
Right.
um, like, there's a part of me that thinks that they are intentionally keeping Keith Lee and Swerve away from each other. Like, I'm not saying he's not hurt. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I think this is when it finally happens, the buildup is going to be so big that it's going to make for good TV. Because literally, if you think about it, Swerve's in the Continental Classic. Swerve loses. Keith Lee is like, boom, let's do this Saturday, right? There's while it's been going on for what, a year.
Mm-hmm.
This to me has potential for if you build it properly, to be a very big match.
Yeah, I kind of actually I kind of share that opinion with you because while yeah, I mean at least from what Tony Khan and what Keith Lee have both said, they're both telling the same story that there's an injury there, and I do hope that Keith Lee is okay. Um, it seemed like the design of this was, and they did tell the story pretty well on commentary. He is sending a message to Keith Lee, and if we get a slow build to Revolution, because there's a few months between now and then, 2 months between now and then. I'm okay with that. You know, if Keith Lee's good to go by that point, or hell, even if they stretch it to Double or Nothing, which would be fine with me. Um, I
I
would
actually
I would like to see that.
hope it gets stretched until Swerve is world champ.
Oh, okay.
So, like again, these little things just keep happening, Keith.
Mm-hmm.
You just keep them apart.
Yep. Yep. You remember when in ECW there was bad blood between Taz and Sabu? Now there were legitimate injuries between the two of them. But at the end of the day, it felt like for the better part of a year and a half, they were purposely not put in the same ring together. And then when we finally got that moment, it was, I mean, the roof blew off. That's what Swerve and Keith Lee could be. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, again, that's kind of what it feels like to me too. Like it's being done on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, like they're just intentionally making you wait because again, once they start the big push and you start to buy in, it's going to be huge. It's going to be big, 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 big.
Yeah.
And for those little mother effers that are whining that Swerve didn't win the C2, would you want him to win the title that's going to be defended in Japan so he's off AEW television more than what he is now? Is that what you want? Would you rather have some patience and let him win the world title, which is probably somewhere next year?
Yeah, I don't think we're too far from seeing Swerve get that reign. And I think you're absolutely right. Having him win the C2 would have been the wrong move. Not that the C2 wasn't a great tournament, because it was, and he had a great performance there. But
Oh, he
let's
stole it.
let's look at it for what it is.
Yeah, I mean, he absolutely stole that thing. So sucks to sucks to the WWE for losing that one, right?
Yeah, huge bonehead move on their part. Can't can't say enough about Dustin Rhodes, by the way. In his 50s, still wrestling like he's in his 30s. Like it's just, I love the hell out of Dustin Rhodes, man. Um, oh, by the way, rumor killer, because people were saying, oh, Dustin's head of WWE. Nope, Tony Khan and Dustin Rhodes both declined that, saying that he has a contract and he is good to go. Jericho, Guevara, Darby Allin, and Sting against Big Bill, Ricky Starks, Takeshita, and I
Top.
always hate and Hobbs. Thank you very much. I always hate when the lineup isn't clearer. Uh, Jericho was taking heat during this match for internet rumors. Let me stress before we dive too deep into this. These are strictly rumors. We do not know the truth behind it yet, but there's a rumor out there that Jericho had harassed Kylie Ray, which led to the exit of Kylie Ray from AEW. That's the rumor. That's what caused this heat to start flaring up. And there was a sign right there in front of the cameras for all the world to see that said Jericho World's NDA, which which is if you're not sure what an NDA is, that's non-disclosure agreement, which is him joking around on Twitter about having not signed one when it came to the CM Punk situation. Um, but anyway, Jericho was taking all kinds of heat, even with Ricky Starks giving him the finger and apparently refusing to work with him. I didn't really take it that way. That's how a lot of fans have phrased it. I looked at it more of Starks just doing what Starks does and, just working the crowd up a little bit. Um, Match was a little janky. Um, but at the same time, you never look past an opportunity to see Sting, which hey, he's coming towards the end of that career, man, and if we get an opportunity to see him in there, every single opportunity, we should take that chance to go see it. I think I saw in the chat you were considering going to North Carolina for his retirement.
It's a possibility. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't looked at tickets, but it's a possibility. I
Yeah.
may be like, screw it. I'm I'm going. Like I'm going to North Carolina for Sting. Because I mean, ultimately, that wouldn't be too terrible of a ride.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, talk about history making.
Right. Right. I mean, it's an opportunity to see one of the greats, one of the best to ever do it, and to see from beginning to end, to see that career through all the way through, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. True that.
TBS Championship, Julia Hart defending against Abaddon. I did love the chant at the beginning of the match. That was, "This is spooky." That was pretty cool. I really like how much Julia Hart has improved. I feel like she's becoming more and more of an asset for AEW. And it also showed kind of in my opinion, a renewed focus to that division. As they gave this match a pretty decent amount of time, the crowd was kind of into it. I don't know if I would say that they were over the moon about it, but they had two or three matches in a row that had them up on their feet. So maybe this was just one of those natural valleys in the roller coaster of a show.
Maybe, but I mean, it's kind of cool though to see the evolution, or not the evolution, yeah, evolution of a performer,
Yes,
right?
yeah, it really is.
Especially with like Julia. Who would ever thought, right?
Right.
Who would have ever thought that we would be seeing her as champion one day?
From being the cheerleader for Varsity Blondes to being the queen or the first lady or whatever of the House of Black. That is, it's pretty awesome. And I thought the way she handled herself during the scrum spoke volumes as well. Very mature, very um, endearing to the media and to the fans. I mean, she seems like she's genuinely appreciative of the opportunities she has, and she's seeing it through. I mean, more power to her.
Well, I just think she's probably not used to sitting in front of them mics.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I don't know how many media scrums she's actually like been on. I don't remember.
That might have been her first one.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't.
From TBS to TNT, we go to the TNT Championship match. Christian Cage defending against Adam Copeland in a no disqualification match. Uh, where to start? Um, First off, both of these guys put on a banner performance. There's a huge reason um why AEW signed both of these guys, and they are going to serve benefits for that company as long as they continue to give them this kind of positioning. That being said, um, well, why don't I, instead of me going in, why don't you tell me what you thought of this match?
Match of the night.
Okay, okay,
Um, I think they balled out.
yep,
I think they probably, this is like something they've been probably talking about for years, and we're never able to see it come to fruition. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
And when they got the opportunity, they just went for it. I mean, again, again, personally, it was my match of the night. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I absolutely loved what happened at the end of the match, where Luchasaurus, who won the contract earlier in the night, was forced to give it up to Christian Cage, who immediately turned around and speared Edge for the win to regain his title.
Yeah. So the battle royal that happens at the beginning of the night, everybody's like, Luchasaurus or Killswitch or whatever the fuck comes in there, does his thing, he wins. He comes out, he attacks Edge, beats the piss out of him. By the way, Nick Wayne, that guy's going to end up with a broken back in a wheelchair if he doesn't stop bumping as crazy as he does. That power bomb over the table was a little ridiculous. Like he wasn't trying to put him over the table. It's just I think that Nick Wayne's kind of a light guy, and he just kind
Mm-hmm.
of went past it. And I felt it hurt my back watching him do that. I was like, good God. Then of course that Wayne's World cutter that he hits. Again, it's another back injury. I'm just waiting. I'm like, ugh. Nick Wayne's out for another year now because he's in a wheelchair. I thought the finish was actually really funny. Um, I thought it was cool because it pulls all the fans in. They're like, "Oh, Edge wins, yay!" Or Adam Copeland wins, and then takes it right back and gives it right back to Christian. I was like, that's actually pretty smart.
Oh yeah.
Um,
I mean, again, I enjoyed the match.
mhm.
Uh, again, my candidate for match of the night. Maybe it wasn't for everybody. Maybe it's not their cup of tea. But I I think I'm safe to say that again they have probably been discussing this for a very long time. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
just have never been able to do it. And to me, it's like I was telling Rob, because he was over here watching the pay per view, and I was, to me, it's what we would do, right?
Mhm.
And we've been in the business and grown up and wrestled and all this stuff and started together, best friends in school, yada yada yada. You know damn well there would have been this conversation that would have been had going down any number of interstates. You know, oh man, if we ever get to wrestle each other, this is what how cool would this be or whatever.
Mhm.
And so I think again, I think they went out there. I think they balled out. I think they enjoyed what they were doing, and I think it showed because I think to me, you could feel the match, right? As far as like the emotion,
Mhm.
I clearly think it's Copeland's best AEW match so far. Cage again is delivering on a level that somebody somewhere is like, oh shit, we missed the boat on that one.
Oh yeah.
Because he really, I mean, if he had been given the opportunity and could perform like this, yeah, somebody screwed up somewhere.
Well, that's the thing with Christian. He was what back in 14. People were ruling him out because of concussions. They thought it was over. And
Mm-hmm.
then he still kind of resurfaces here and there, does a few matches here and there. Now he's wrestling consistently at such a high level. I mean, you can't help but be like, whoever was handling talent relations back then, wow, boy, did you fuck up. That's
Well, no,
huge.
I mean, not even back then. Like, just look at because the WWE let him go a
Hmm.
couple years ago. What, 2 years ago, whatever.
Yeah.
And he comes in and he immediately makes an impact, and like you can just tell, like just like man, if this guy had been given the opportunity years ago, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like he could have been world champ in the WWE, and I mean he was world champ in Impact, and he could be world champ in AEW. You could put him on a tour of Japan, and Could probably very easily get the New Japan title, and you would be okay with it. You'd be like, oh, Christian, he's on a different level right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was the best. I thoroughly enjoyed Copeland losing again. I don't think that's finished. I think it'll play out. I imagine this will be how Jungle Boy gets back into the fray if he's coming back. Edge will need help, or Copeland will need help. I've got just the guy.
Wow. So, would you figure that Perry would Perry stay heel like he was before, or would he just come back as face?
Well, he'd probably come back his face, and help Copeland against Christian, and
Mm-hmm.
you know he's got to do something to redeem himself with the fans.
Yeah.
So nobody liked him as a bad guy. He's not a believable bad guy. He reminds me of some smarmy little 12-year-old thing. He's a tough guy.
Nothing a fist to the face from CM Punk couldn't fix.
My,
Ah, Continental Classic Finals. Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley. Winner gets the AEW Triple Crown, which consists of the New Japan Strong Championship, the Ring of Honor Championship, and now the AEW Continental Championship. Um, my understanding of this is it's to be defended anywhere, Japan, Ring of Honor, wherever, as one championship, one title. So the Triple Crown is what they've called it. Um, I like Danielson on commentary for this. I felt like he gave an extra bit of drama to it. I loved where he's like, I can't believe I lost to this guy. Jesus. Like, that was funny. Um, him talking about and I don't think this is done enough in wrestling, getting that perspective of why a move really hurts, like where the strike comes into play, what these things really mean, because it gives it an air of believability to it, and I think that's very cool.
okay.
Kingston
Statement
and
of question.
statement. I didn't hear. I noticed that you were coughing at first. I thought you might interject, and then I was like, oh well, okay. Well, we'll just let him cough it out.
I'm just messing. We haven't done it in a while.
uh, Moxley and Kingston. I mean, these guys have a great chemistry together, no matter what, whether they're against each other or on the same side. Honestly, I really enjoyed this matchup. I would have called this match of the night myself. Um, I just felt like we got that. And hey, another flowers moment for me. I predicted that Kingston would have his world championship moment in New York. Can't say I was wrong there. Granted, it took 3 years. Don't worry, we still got there. Eddie Kingston beats Jon Moxley after a spinning back fist out of nowhere. Um, the only thing that I really came out of this matchup after that with was the question of, is Mox hurt, and is he finally going to take some actual time off?
Um. So probably not quite yet if he's taking time off, because on Thursday at Wrestle Kingdom, I believe it's Thursday or is it Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, whatever day it is. I think it's the 4th. So whatever day that would be. Thursday. Oh crap. I hope it's Thursday and a Friday. No, that would be the 5th, right? What day is the 4th?
The fourth is
Tuesday, Wednesday, fuck Thursday. Oh crap. All right. Anyway, at Wrestle Kingdom, all right, he is going to be in a match with Will Ospreay and David Finlay for the inaugural. How do you say it? World inaugural
Oh,
new.
the rebranding of the global, the
Yeah,
IWGP
that's
Global
global.
Championship. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I couldn't remember, but it's the to declare the winner, right? And since Mox is well loved over there because New Japan apparently loves him. As far as I know, he's still in the match for that.
Mm-hmm.
Which, for those people that were upset that Eddie Kingston won and Moxley didn't because Moxley would be a better champion, please pay attention to the rest of the wrestling world because, again, he will be at another pay per view later in the week fighting for another New Japan Pro Wrestling title. And it would have made no sense having a Triple Crown champion wrestle for the global heavyweight title, world
Right.
heavyweight, whatever. Like, pay attention. Like, this is why you look foolish sometimes. Pay attention. There's more out there than the WWE.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know when I'll get a chance to see Mox against Osprey. I'll end up catching it at some point, but I think when you look at the logic of it all, Eddie Kingston is a huge benefit to have on AEW television. He has a huge following. It gets bigger by the week, I think, with every opportunity he gets at a promo. Um, and just from an overall perspective, Mox, if anything, Mox is owed the ability to go where he wants after carrying the company on his shoulders for 2 years when he was supposed to be resting up and doing other things. So if
Yeah, but
Mox wants to go compete overseas, then let him.
he's been doing that, right? He was one of their champs for a while.
Hmm. Yeah, he was. He was there. Was he a U.S. champ for a bit?
I don't remember which one,
Yeah.
but to me, it's you. Like, take your head out your collective butts.
Hmm.
The world of wrestling is bigger than that little bubble, and you should pay attention to this stuff and not be like, Boxer might have been a Triple Crown champion. Well, no, that's not going to work for New Japan.
Right. It also wouldn't make sense to have him in a position where he's doing that, where Eddie Kingston clearly needs it more.
Well, I mean, I think I don't know about needs more. Eddie is a weird cat in that category because Eddie's got a lot of people that love him, right?
Right.
Fan wise, and so I don't know if Eddie needs the title, but I think it's the feel good story of 2023.
Yeah, it could be.
It's kind of like, again, I know I'm comparing apples to oranges, but again, remember the famous quote, "That'll put butts in seats,"
Yep.
and everybody said, "Whoop," and we switched to USA
Hmm.
because we knew Mick Foley was going to win on a taped show,
And everybody
and
wanted to see it.
everybody wanted to see it. I think it's the same thing. I think everybody in the industry respects him, and his fans are loyal to him, and I think it's one of those types of moments. He's earned it. Give it to him. you know, let him show that he can carry a title. Let him show that he can move up the card, and who knows? Maybe one day he does get a world title somewhere.
That being said, his match with Brian Danielson was actually better than this match with Mox. I liked that match a lot.
I didn't. Danielson lost.
Yeah, yeah,
I
that's
mean,
true.
that was my guy,
So you
Danielson.
wanted Danielson to take it?
Yeah. Because I thought again, it's probably something he hasn't done in a long time as far as wrestling in New Japan.
Hmm.
This would give him an opportunity to be seen on a global scale. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
and this being his might be his last year. Let's give him a run with something
Hmm.
and let him ball out, and just let the guy enjoy his last year if this is his last year. But
On that same topic, you mentioned New Japan a few times. We've talked about it a little bit, but Danielson he's still scheduled for Wrestle Kingdom against Okada, is he not?
yes,
That man.
yes, and again, this is why I'm pretty sure now that I've thought about it out loud, Wrestle Kingdom will be Thursday morning and not Thursday, Friday morning. So I
Yeah,
guess I'll
the fourth
watch it.
Thursday
Yeah,
morning.
I'll have to watch. Avoid spoilers for the day and watch it when I get home.
I
So,
feel like with what World's End gave us, I saw some people thinking that the pay per view wasn't any good. I completely disagree. I think this pay per view was extremely strong. I thought the match between MJF and Samoa Joe by itself, um, it was exactly what I expected because you weren't going to get a 30-minute classic out of a very banged up MJF. I mean, he's got a torn labrum, he's got a hip injury. Um, those are legitimate injuries that he's had since the previous pay per view, Full Gear. And he's managed to work throughout all of that and still put on an entertaining matchup. I mean, I think at the end of the day, what it really comes back to is looking at it as this is Samoa Joe's moment, and what they do with it from here is really going to tell the story for me. I think MJF ultimately goes back to being a heel at some point, but I think the real story here is how long does Samoa Joe hold the title, and who are his challengers?
oh, I mean, um, everybody, right?
Hmm.
Like they AEW does a good job of not repeating, but so much.
Right.
Right. I think we've covered those statistics from years gone by. Um, in WWE compared to AEW, and
Hmm.
because every once in a while I would pop up. Oh my God, this is the second time I've ever seen this match. Oh geez, can't we get a new match? And then you go look at WWE, and the same two wrestled 15 times on TV.
Right.
And,
Right.
so, but it opens the door up to a lot of different things.
Hmm.
Um, you have to ask yourself, again, what does Cole and his crew do? You know,
Right.
you have to think about uh, Danielson.
Oh,
That.
hell yes.
You have Will Osprey, who is waiting in the wings. Come February, guess who's on the scene?
Hmm.
Oh man, can you imagine that Samoa Joe and Will Osprey on paper? It looks absolutely could be a banger. You know, Swerve is going to creep into this scene, and I imagine Swerve's going to creep into it very quickly. I don't,
Is
I don't,
is Swerve the guy that takes it? You think?
I think, I think probably personally, I think Swerve won't get it for until probably mid-year, right? Because they got
Wow.
a good tone with Swerve,
Hmm.
right? Again, I think whoever's pulling the strings with Swerve realizes if we keep building momentum, right? Because again, he's one of these tweeners, right? He acts like a bad guy, but then when he comes out and said, "Whose house?" everybody screams, "Swerve's house!" Right?
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? We all love Prince Nana and his little dance. When the music hits, you're sitting in the chair doing the little dance in the chair.
Oh, let me just tell you about this dance. So when it became clear I was going to be staying home, I instantly ordered the pay per view.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Nana came out, I did stand up out of my chair and I did the Nana dance. Yes, I did.
Yeah,
I
see,
swear, what I drive. Yep, I sure did.
yeah, but I mean, so we know, right? So we know just based off of where we stand today, right? Joe, while carrying the title, is ultimately not the future.
Yeah.
Swerve is your future, right? Again, this guy is like banger after banger after banger, right? He is so unbelievably talented, right? I didn't care for him in NXT. Right? I think we probably made fun of that whole little group there.
We barely got to scratch the surface with Joe in NXT.
Well, no, I'm talking about Swerve.
Oh, yes, yeah. Hit Row was.
Yeah,
I mean, they had potential with Swerve, but then once
but
Swerve was gone, it was like, oh, these guys are not great.
yeah, but again, when he was there, we kind of every once in a while we poke a little fun at him,
Mm-hmm.
right? But again, this is what happens, guys, when you take somebody who's pigeonholed in one company and you allow them to go to another. And this guy is fast becoming one of the most popular stars on the planet.
Right.
Again, there's a video he's at what football game? He's like at a football game. I think it's the Rams, maybe. The
Mm-hmm.
Rams, right? And whoever's with him is filming him. She puts it up on like the Tron that runs around the arena. It says the guy says whose house, and then the crowd screams Swerve's house. And then she pans the camera at Swerve, and he's just kind of smiling at the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, like this guy has such potential to be a massive star in the coming year that I think that's why you don't give him that title quite yet. You let it, build and build and build and build, and whether it's Swerve and Samoa Joe, or think about the big one, Swerve and Will Ospreay.
Mm. Yes.
Like I legit think when this thing happens, their numbers for that pay per view that it's going to happen on are going to shoot through the roof. When you come out and said Swerve versus, whoever for the world title, and it's going to happen, he's going to get it the first time. The numbers are going to shoot through the roof because you're going to have all these people again. I don't watch AEW, but Swerve should have won that title. He should have won the classic and then won the title and gone on to the get a belt and defend it in Japan. Well, no, but those people are going to be like, oh shit, Swerve's going to get this title tonight. Click. I mean, let
Mm-hmm.
me dump some money in here,
Right. Right.
and that's all you need, people. One or two guys like that, and guess what? For those naysayers, I don't watch AEW television. But I love me some Swerve. You're gonna start watching AEW television.
That's what kills me. We get so many people out there now that are like, I don't watch AEW, but they'll full on complain about it. Like, how the fuck do you even know what you're talking about if you're not watching it?
Well, to me,
Oh,
it's not those types of people. It's the people that say I don't watch AEW television, but then can tell you what happened in the first hour of the show.
right, right.
So,
Well, they're only able to do that because they're following certain cults. Well,
well,
this is
no,
what Cornette said, so he must be right.
well, I mean, because I'll tell you, because again, we, I follow the cult.
He said wee wee.
I mean, I follow the cult, but there are a lot of people in there that are followers of AEW.
Yeah.
Like, not all of them are against AEW, but again, there are people in there that tell you how much they hate AEW, but then they're showing up at the arenas, taking the pictures. Oh,
Right, right.
I'm at Dynamite tonight, and they're in the Cornette shirt, or they're, I hate AEW or AEW. Yeah, AEW. I thought I said AEW. Yeah, whatever. I'm losing my mind. Anyway, I hate AEW, but boy, man, that the first 15 minutes was nothing but a match, and then they did, and they'll tell you like almost minute by minute what happened, and you're like, why are you watching it? Again,
Hmm.
I don't like the WWE at this point in time. Am I willing to go back and start watching it? Sure, but I don't like it, so I'm not watching it. Do I follow news? Sure, that's what I'm supposed to do. But if I don't like something, don't fucking watch it. You ain't got to
That's what
run.
kills me. It's not hard to find wrestling on TV anymore. Like it used to be back when we were younger. Like you couldn't find wrestling on TV. You had three channels that you could choose from. If you didn't catch it at noon or 6:05, it's a good possibility you weren't going to see any wrestling that weekend.
Oh man, you must not have had cable. Ooh.
When I first started watching wrestling, I did not.
Yeah, let me tell you, there was plenty of wrestling on if you had cable. Even ESPN carried it.
Yep, that was where I learned about global and world class. World
Hey,
class was like world class. They'd show like late night replays, even though it hadn't been on TV like in a long time.
well,
Like,
so I can remember, and I love how we just like literally steer this car off the road.
there's a ditch.
If you ever do videos, you need to get somebody to do a clip of a car running off the road and running back on the road. This is what on the corner. So back when it was on,
hmm
it came on. Man, I want to say like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, because I would get home from school and I would immediately turn on ESPN.
hmm
Right? Didn't care about homework, didn't care about nothing. Because again, it was AWA, it was world class, it was I think Mid South, US was it USWA.
Yep.
Um, man, there was so much on it. Like they had AWA when it was at the Showboat and the
hmm
Sportatorium, or world class was at the Sportatorium, and all this stuff. And I want to say at one time they were only a little bit behind.
Well, at one point they were advertising. I remember they were advertising UWF, Herb Abrams UWF. I don't
Oh,
remember if it ever hit TV, but I remember them advertising it.
I don't know who. Where did? Yeah, I don't remember that. I don't remember if I ever saw any of that. But I mean, so the show during the afternoon, and again, I know it was taped and was probably taped because I know how they used to tape it. They would tape 5 or 6
hmm
hours of programming, and which normally would turn around and be like 5 weeks worth of TV time. Um, but like when they scrolled where it's coming, like where it's going next,
hmm
they were up to date.
Yeah.
So, and again, you weren't off by maybe a week. It's kind of like what Impact does now.
hmm
I think they still do it, don't they? Or TNA. Let me get back to TNA since it's a new year.
Yeah,
Um,
right, right. That's gonna be a tricky one. We're gonna
yeah.
we're gonna trip on that until they finally decide to go back to Impact.
Oh yeah. But listen, hey, let me tell you. Again, at one time, I was a TNA fan, and
Yep.
eventually Rob was a TNA
hmm
fan, and Rob held out longer than anybody else.
Yep.
Oh my lord, he held out, and I'm going back. Like I'm getting the pay per view.
I,
So
I tell you this, man. I think a lot of the fans that hesitated on TNA back in the day were the ones that were heartbroken when WCW's doors were finally closed. And I can't say I blame them because that sucked. That was a bad day for wrestling. Sure, it's cool to wow, I can't believe Vince owns it. But then after that's done, after that week or so of holy crap, this actually happened is gone, like then the realization of well, there's no one else out there.
well, yeah, but I tend to think that the reason TNA Impact, what was it first called?
NWA TNA.
Yeah. So I think the reason it never really took off, I think there's two reasons. One, the way it started with the weekly pay per views,
Mhm.
right? Which I am proud to say we did get one. I did pay for one of them. I don't remember paying for more. I know I paid for the Bret Hart one, but I think it was because of the start. Again, the weekly pay per view joint, and then um, I think again, what part of the problem with today's wrestling fan, it's been that way since WCW shut their doors, and there was no alternative. They are hyper focused in a oxygen chamber, and it's their own little world. And that's
Hmm.
why if MJF were to go to WWE, for all the people out there saying how good he's going to do, I'll lay you money he's not climbing but so high. And the reason why is because for probably 85% of that audience, they have absolutely no earthly clue who MJF is.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, as much as I like MJF, and I really do, I feel like in WWE he would be another Miz. And people would just be like, he's obnoxious. They would just turn it off. And I
Oh
hate to
yeah,
say it like that, but that's because AEW is still in that air of they are the new kid on the block. And like it's like when people used to remember when people would go to TNA and they'd be like they'd come back to WWE and people be like, I thought you retired. No, I was wrestling somewhere else. Like it's just such a foreign concept, and I'll never get why because growing up we watched everything. Like if we had access to it, we watched it.
yes,
Um, so like that's why it always befuddles me when they're like, oh, like you said, who's MJF? I mean, yeah, people are gonna say that if he goes to WWE, and that's just alarming to me. I'm like, well, how do you not know who MJF is? But it's gonna happen. You're not wrong.
yeah. All
That
right,
is to say, if he does go over there, we'll say that.
yeah. Let's hit some rumors. Let's talk about some rumors.
Got some strong ones this week. Of course, the big one, bouncing back and forth between WWE and AEW. Mercedes Moné, hot in the rumor mill right now. Previously, as recent as about a month and a half ago, people were predicting. They were predicting that Mercedes Moné was no longer in talks with AEW and was likely going to be landing in WWE anytime. And then, as recent as last last night, 2 nights ago,
Friday.
Friday night, we find out no, 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 no. Mercedes Moné talks with WWE have stalled and is now on her way back. Excuse me, more than likely going to be landing in. There we go. AEW.
Now,
Hey, Monet is the hot ticket. If I was either side, I would be backing the Brinks Truck Cup.
uh, so I will agree with that. Um, but so like for me, the thing that's interesting is again people are like you know guaranteeing that she's going to one place
Right,
again
right.
because the bubble they live in, right? They can't see her going nowhere else. Impact was in there. Oh, she goes anywhere, she'll team with Impact because Naomi's there, right? And then you know she takes the ball and runs and happy holidays. Oh my God, that's a Triple H reference. She's going back to the WWE.
Right.
She puts a picture of Triple H on her post. Oh, guys, she's going back. Again, the people with 150 followers on TikTok. I told you so. She's guaranteed and destined to go until she filed trademarks.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, collectively, most of these people went, "Oh shit," because it would make no sense, and at least they're smart enough to know this, for her to go back to the WWE as Monet. She would go back as Sasha Banks.
Right, right. Back to status quo.
Yes, because all them little kids that watch her and know her as Sasha Banks would never be able to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's no slight to the little 10-year-old, but she'll always forever be known as Sasha Banks in the WWE.
Right, exactly. Exactly. I mean, there's nobody that's going to be able to look at her in a different perspective in WWE, but just because of what they built, which isn't bad. It's just
No,
it's what she represents in WWE.
right. And now everybody's like, "Oh crap, she's probably not going back." And we also get the report that coming out of WWE, no, that we couldn't make an agreement.
Right.
And I personally don't care where she goes because again, it's good for business,
Yes.
right? And ultimately, that's what we want. We want, as a whole, the business to be better. Is there a part of me that wants her in AEW? Sure. But if she goes to Impact, am I going to be upset? No. Why? Because I'm going to expand into Impact or TNA this year. There I go again.
TNA. TNA.
TNA, TNA.
TNA. TNA.
So it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah.
But do I think she's probably AEW bound? Sure.
I think a lot of people that thought it was a foregone conclusion that she would go back to WWE just because Vince was gone, had kind of forgotten who was in charge when she left. Triple H was running the show with Nick Khan when she left. It wasn't a Vince product at that point. Vince was still out on what, a suspension or something. So, uh, no, and it's not that she wouldn't eventually work with Triple H again. I think she will at some point before she retires, much like Trish Stratus and Lita and all of the rest. But she has so much more to accomplish outside of that bubble that if I'm her, I'd want to go to TNA. I'd want to go to AEW. I'd want to go anywhere but WWE for right now. The Rock just showed up on Raw. Holy shit. That place is going bananas. They're
Cheering, booing, what?
they're on their feet cheering. Of course, here's what they did. Full context. So WWE and Triple H tweeted out today the return of a former WWE champion. Wouldn't confirm or deny who it was. Then tonight, it was announced that it was confirmed that a former WWE champion would be there, and out comes Jinder Mahal, which the crowd is like, "Boo! We hate you," and rightfully so because he sucks. But Mahal is out there working the crowd, and the reason I didn't mention it because literally nothing noteworthy was being said. Um, then suddenly, in the middle of his promo, The Rock's music hits, and then the whole place goes bananas.
Did The Rock show up?
He's literally out there giving fist bumps to fans right now.
So Rock shows up while The Rock is fist
No.
bumping.
The Rock is out
Oh,
there.
Rock. I thought
So
it
it was
said Rock.
Jinder Mahal that came out there, and people were like, "Oh, geez, this is the former champ, boo!" And then The Rock interrupts him and comes out.
Now get ready, because I know I saw one earlier. I bet you some of your TikToker people are going to be like, "I was right. It's The Rock." I saw a few earlier.
Oh,
All right,
jeez, The Rock.
The Rock. But anyway, getting back to Monet,
Yeah.
I think she will also start a flood of individuals that are going to leave the WWE and go do other things.
Well, I mean, there's a crap ton of open contracts right now. People that are free agents now. That market is flush with just huge talent. Like if I'm TNA, if AEW hasn't already done it, I'd be contacting Dolph Ziggler or Nick Nemeth. Um, I would be banging down the door from an A. I would be working on an agreement with AEW to have both of them work both shows. Like I would be finding a way to make them on my TV program. Um, Deanna Perrazzo is another tremendous women's talent that's a free agent now.
Mm-hmm.
She has no place in WWE. I hate to say it, but they're not going to do anything with her. They can't do anything with the women they have now.
Well, but see, the interesting thing about Deanna Purrazzo, right? Sorry, I was putting something on. Is if you remember, she was in NXT.
Yes.
She was in NXT for some time. She then developed quite the losing streak, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
Immediately goes to Impact, which they were Impact at the time, so it's okay for me to call them that.
Mm-hmm.
Goes to Impact and has the rocket strapped on her back, straight to the top,
Mm-hmm.
and has proven herself every step of the way. Right? So this is an individual that again was under a certain system, left, learned, oh hey, there I was this, but out here I'm this. So why do I want to go back to that?
Right. Right.
And
I mean,
now
this
with like New Japan having the women's division,
a strong division too.
yes. I mean, there's so many places to go. I mean, people, you better get ready. I think there's a good chance both Seth and Becky leave this year.
I agree with that. I'm so glad you mentioned that because that was going to be the next set of free agents I was going to mention. Um, and it's not to say that neither one would have a role in the current company, but haven't they already done everything there is to do there? There's nothing else for them to do. So why wouldn't they want to branch out? How about just a thought process? Here we go, fantasy booking. How about Tyler Black against Moxley? How about Becky Lynch against Tony Storm?
Well, yeah, but again, though, I think once again when we do this, we don't we get narrow minded, right? I want you to think about this. You can't tell me that somewhere along the way people haven't had a conversation with Cody about doing New Japan, about
Oh
doing
yeah,
our
yeah,
about doing AEW, about doing all these Impact, about doing all these other places, right? And what's he going to say? That it was crap to go there? No, because nobody else is. What's he going to
right,
say? Have fun? No, nobody else is. I mean, think about it. In AEW, well, I wasn't champ because I was dumb enough to open my big mouth about it.
right.
Outside of that, where was the problem? It wasn't. He wanted to go back and fulfill his dream,
Right.
right?
And honestly, I feel like once his agreement with WWE is done, he could
He
honestly
believed,
go back.
yes. And there's part of me because I'm pretty sure right now there's something with his contract, like it needs to be renewed or it's going to be renewed coming up or something. I'm pretty sure I read that not too long ago. So, but again though, if he like this, Becky has probably talked to Mercedes.
Oh yeah.
Bailey has. I
Yep.
mean, crap, Bailey's been spotted all over the place going to
Hmm.
see your friend. So some of these people are going to realize I don't have to stay. I think Drew's contract runs out in a couple months. Drew's another one. Is he going to resign or is he going to leave? It's very easy. He could leave.
And
And again,
trust and believe that Drew Galloway can be a star wherever he goes.
yeah, because guess what? That's what happened when he left WWE the first time,
Hmm.
right? When he was in there first time, we never would have bought him as world champ.
Right.
But dang, if we didn't buy into when he came back. MJF is another one. Right? His contract's supposedly up. I don't think it is, but it's supposed to be up. Could easily go to the WWE. Again, I think 85% of the audience, you're going to have to teach them who MJF is.
Hmm.
However, it's not going to be the same MJF because they're a family show,
Right.
right?
Right.
But MJF could very easily say, you know what, I'm gonna throw a curve here.
Hmm.
I'm gonna go to Impact, or I'm gonna go to New Japan, or I'm gonna go to All Japan. I'm going to go to AAA, or I'm going to go do whatever. Again, I think MJF eventually does go to the WWE,
Hmm.
but I don't think it's now.
Well, you mentioned it earlier. I think MJF quietly signed an extension through 2024 when he
But
came back.
I am almost 100% positive, outside the Mandela effect, that when he supposedly left, and then came back,
Hmm.
that he said in the ring in the first interview that he made them give him a new contract for more money.
And that may well be. I think that when he did say that, I think it meant as in like to keep him up to 2024. But like again, like you say, could be Mandela effect, could be anything. But either way, I feel like he's not leaving. I feel like they've got him locked up,
I do
which
too.
is smart. That's what I would do.
I'd back
The
the
Brinks
truck.
truck, yeah, yeah.
And again, with the letter he put out, what, 3 days ago?
What an article! That was such a good read.
Yeah, I mean that screams of a leader
Hmm.
who is, that screams of the guy you want in your locker room.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I literally would make him filthy rich if that's what it took to keep him on my TV. Because I don't think there's animosity there.
No.
You know, I get the whole, bidding war of 24. But again, there's no doubt in my mind that part of that $34 million deficit went to MJF.
Oh, yeah. If it's me, I would have already gotten it done. I'd have been like, look, you don't have to say shit to anybody. Just shake my hand, sign this form, we're done. And if you want to raise later, we could do that too. But keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great. Like I would literally just keep him. Hey, you want the title? Sure. You want to do this? Sure. Like I would tell him yes to just about everything. Because from a
Well,
creative standpoint, he's one of the few that seems like he understands what to do.
yeah, but I don't know about just giving the title to him, but I would make sure he was well compensated,
Exactly. Yes.
and I would make sure he was the focal point of my show.
Yeah. It's just. I
Uh,
mean, it's just good business in my opinion. I think it's just smart to keep the people that are not just keeping butts in seats, but keeping people talking. Like you don't have a lot of that in the industry today. You really don't. Punk got people talking for a few weeks when he came back, and have they talked about him since? Just being honest, not really. Is it a big deal still? Of course. I mean, I'm a Punk fan, but are they talking about it as consistently as they talk about literally anybody else?
yeah, well, I think Punk's about to. I think they're going to pull the big. Um, they're going to pull the big swerve with Punk.
Oh, okay.
I think Punk wins the Royal Rumble.
Oh, he's gonna spoil Cody's story.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
I think
uh,
Punk's going to spoil the story.
really?
Yes, and
I so
then
like that.
Cody will push. It'll be pushed off for another year.
Oh my god. Ah.
Listen, I would listen, and I say this because I pay attention sometimes. Right, I see interviews and stuff like that. I know we've discussed this before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Roman, what did he say? He said, "I'll be champion until like somebody can like sell more T-shirts or something like that."
Mm-hmm.
Right? Put more butts in the seat. You think Cody's doing it? No, not compared to Punk.
It is pretty impressive, by the way, especially for all of those that have listened to us. And we've joked about Punk quite a bit, but the reality is, CM Punk does move the needle. He moved it for AEW when he was there. And he's back in WWE and outselling in merch. Less than 2 weeks. Top seller.
I mean,
Not
literally,
top 5. Top seller. Top guy.
yeah, just sold out Madison Square Garden,
Yep.
which I want you to think about it. How many shows have been in Madison Square Garden?
Mm-hmm.
And thanks to Punk, there's a new record, which I find, I kind of find unbelievable, but it's pro wrestling, right? I mean,
Right,
that's
right.
what we lied about the Pontiac Silverdome for 50
Yeah,
fucking
I
years.
mean, yeah, decades. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So good for Punk for, having the largest crowd in Madison Square Garden. Good for the WWE, you
Mm-hmm.
know, trying to do what they've always done and pull the wool over people's eyes. You know, good for them. But again, I want you to think about this. Literally think about this, right? So, depending on where Raw ends up, right? What show is the number one show now? SmackDown.
Mm.
No. Raw doesn't have a place, right?
That's right. I mean, there's not a finalized home for it yet.
So USA has just shelled out all this, USA, right? Shelled out all that money for SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
We know from the past that they're going to dictate who they want on their show.
Yep.
You think they want Cody, or do you think they want Punk? My money's going to go with old Pepsi Phil.
Pepsi Man. Pepsi Phil.
And I think
Pepsi
there's
Phil.
going to be a swerve.
It'd be kind of interesting to see him do it. I do want to see Cody finally do. I want to see him beat Roman for one, because he should have last year. But I think we've talked about it before. We've said if he does beat Roman at Mania this year, it's going to be like, because it's just a lost moment, which kind
Yes.
of sucks. That kind of sucks because it was such a good build up. Yeah, it's like ah. But if Punk manages, if they manage that swerve with Punk, that would be pretty sweet. Be a fun chase.
No, it won't be a chase. He wins the Rumble.
No, I mean for Cody to chase Punk,
Uh, maybe.
depending on
Maybe.
how they do it.
Yeah, maybe. Again, they should have pulled the trigger last year.
Mm-hmm.
All the momentum was on their side. Now you have, again, Roman Reigns, who is vulnerable. Again, we because we screwed this up, right? There's a reason Cody wins now. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I get that in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter to the WWE or any of the wrestlers or whatever, but to the fans, oh, that shit matters.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're catching Roman in a vulnerable time because everybody knows he had cancer and he's probably going to be done at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Oh man. So Cody was only good enough to beat Roman when this happened.
Right. Right. Would Do you think that history will look at Roman Reigns and treat him like he was a legend?
No.
10 years down the
Wait,
road from now.
a legend?
Yeah.
Depends on how you look at it.
Yeah.
Look at it with them ruby glasses, he is. But if you look at it like the way you should,
Mm-hmm.
then no. Because we all know, like, the the audience didn't put him in that spot.
Right.
Vince did. Now I'm not saying that once he got to that spot, he hasn't outperformed, but again, it took everything that Vince could to make it stick.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally the right storm came along or whatever you want to call it, and it stuck. And he's done phenomenal. But again, we know that about the streak. Well, the streak is going on because, even according to Roman, you got nobody that does this like I do.
Right.
You got nobody that can sell tickets like I do. Well, no offense, but honestly, their audience hasn't grown either. Okay, so it's kind of hard to tell who's putting the butts in the seats. But he's had the hottest hand,
Mm-hmm.
Since he's been doing this. But I think career-wise, he will ultimately probably be remembered as a legend. But for those of us that watched it, for those
Mm-hmm.
of us who Vince fed it down their throats and wouldn't come up off of it and just kept going and going and going until it stuck, I think it's BS that he's got the longest title reign.
Yeah.
And he's only defended the title like 30 times. F that. Yeah, I think it's like 30. Yeah, it's in the 30s, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe 50, somewhere in there. Like you had it how many years? And you've only defended it that many times?
And before MJF hit 365 on his run, he had almost twice as many title defenses in 2023.
Yeah, I mean
That's
but
crazy.
yeah, that is crazy. But again, some people are going to look at it, the ruby glasses. They're not going to look at it the way it should be looked at.
Mm-hmm.
Should he be put up there with Hulk Hogan because he held the title longer? No.
No, not even close.
Should
He
he
shouldn't
come
be up
close?
there with Bruno. He shouldn't be up there with Backlund either.
Right. But again, the WWE manufactured this run
Mm-hmm.
and put it up there. And again, will you and I think of him a legend? Maybe not. But the 10-year-old that's only known Roman as champion,
Mm-hmm.
when that guy's or gal is 40 years old talking about wrestling, you know who's going to be a legend? Roman. And that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you want. You want to create a character that will be remembered. But again, for me and you, I don't think he's a legend. I mean, shit, the Honky Tonk Man was the longest reigning IC champion for a long time, wasn't
Yeah. Yeah.
he? And outside of the IC title run,
Yeah. I thought Honky Tonk Man was trash.
but you see what I'm saying?
Good talker though. Give him credit for that. Good talker.
But guess what? He's a WWE legend.
Yep. Yep. That's true. Oh, to be in the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
How to be a star in the bubble. Be in the bubble. That's pretty much what you do.
So, yeah, that's an interesting question. But again, I think for us, he's not. But,
Mm-hmm.
20 years down the line, he'll be remembered fondly as
Yeah.
probably the greatest world champion ever.
Oh, I hope not. I hope I'm old enough to be like, stop the madness. Don't do it.
That's funny.
Wrestling is just such a fickle business as it is. I mean, I think you're probably right. I think you'll probably have a pocket of fans that will look at it the way we do and recognize it as, nah, come on, this is a guy that was forced into a position and played the hand he was dealt. And credit to him for playing that hand as well as he did. But, I mean, he was basically forcibly shoved into the TV versus the fans that are going to look at him and go, oh, wow, well, he had such a monumental run, even though monumental is, in our estimation, a huge over-exaggeration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, again, I think for the most part, a lot of us can figure out, I think a lot of people have figured out that,
Yeah.
you know, we know what he did. You know, well, not what he did, but we know what Vince did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was force fed, and he just wouldn't give up on the guy.
Yeah.
Which, to his credit, you can add another one that Vince was right about. You can add another one that you can consider him a genius over. But for me, I like the storyline, but it's gone way too long. I've now lost interest. The end is near, and the guy coming up behind him is not what you want. For me personally, I'd much rather see CM Punk.
Should
I
be
think,
interesting.
I think there's more history involved in CM Punk.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, the Shield and CM Punk were in the little thing at one time.
Yeah.
You know,
And
I,
honestly, they could play off of his departure with how he complained about having to put over Roman Reigns so often,
yeah,
which would be
again,
great on promos. I'm sure that would be awesome.
I think it's coming. Honestly, do I think he's going to win? He's going to point to the sign, and everybody's going to cheer. And then we're going to get CM Punk and Seth Rollins,
Mm-hmm.
and then CM Punk's going to come out and be like, "No, that's not how this is going to play out. I want Roman. I want the big dog. I want to be the guy." And little old Cody's going to be bridesmaid, never bride.
Oh, 10 years from now, Cody looked at as the guy that could have been world champ but never was. Ouch.
No,
Ouch.
I think he'll get it from Seth.
Yeah.
But to me, you've lost his momentum for him to take it from Roman.
Yeah.
I need to find this interview. I'll see if I can find it. I mean, Roman explains it ever so poignantly. Like the guy, he's like the guy I lose this to. You have to be better than me in everything. Butts in the seat, selling merch, the whole, he lays it out and he makes perfect fucking sense.
Mm-hmm.
And at this time, it's not Cody Rhodes. Unfortunately, it's CM Punk. And if you don't do the right thing here, well, probably not going to look down the line. You may look back and be like, oh, well, we probably should have done it this way.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, you've brought CM Punk back, and of course, I was like, holy shit, I can't believe they did it. But you bring him back, and if you do him wrong, he's the one guy that ultimately will set your company on fire. Like, if you don't do right by CM Punk, he'll burn you.
Yeah, but
And
not even like I'm not too much worried about doing right by him. I'm talking like he's the bigger attraction.
mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like this is why
Yeah,
Cody, as soon as CM Punk showed up, to me personally, Cody immediately slid down the card.
yeah.
No slight to Cody, but maybe you shouldn't have spent the last year getting on there crying every damn time you did it. You know, the better choice in this is CM Punk,
Mm.
and I think they're gonna I think that's I think that's what they're gonna do. I do that.
At least with Cody and Seth, you know for a fact that match is going to be great. They've had great matches each time. Um, with Punk and Roman, I'd be interested to see how good it is because Roman and the Shield against Punk right before Punk left, Roman was still pretty well a rookie at that point. So it'd be interesting to see the dynamic now.
No, I mean I don't think it'll be anything short of spectacular if it was Punk and
Mm-hmm.
um, again. I think CM Punk's your bigger star. Sorry,
Yeah.
Coach, but you might have got screwed here. I mean, again, the other thing, what does USA think about Punk? Trips, I think we want CM Punk as their world champion.
Right.
How are we going to make that happen?
That's the tough part, right? So, I mean, you want Punk to be champ. You've got two different opportunities. It does make better sense for him to beat Roman. There is a more of a natural story there to it.
Well,
I mean, him and Seth apparently have a thing, but honestly, you could keep them apart from each other for almost another year, and then by the time they finally do it, they'll be even bigger.
no, you ain't got to worry about Punk and Seth. I think you're gonna get one and done at WrestleMania, and Seth's gonna say, "Oh, see y'all later, bye bye."
Now that is interesting because watching Seth's reaction to Punk was, I mean, he's a worker's worker. He knows exactly what he's doing. And he
Sure.
knows exactly what he needs to do to generate interest. But he's only going to do enough to play ball until his contract's up. And he'll be like, all right, bye.
Deuces. I'm going to New Japan.
Yeah. And I think he would do it. One, they give him more control of his schedule. Two, they give him an opportunity to really, enjoy what he wants to do. And just being able to work in different companies, I think would make him more flexible, more relaxed. I feel like we'd get a better version of him.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Well, we've covered a wide variety of things, as we always do. We've veered off into multiple directions, as we always do. Let's see. I haven't done this in a while. Hopefully, I get this right. You got to catch up with your boys on the Twitter bot. Rob's at Rob Hefner C2C. Brian is at Vlad Dragul C2C. That's VLADDRAGOOL C2C. And I'm at Stan Grubb C2C. And of course, the show is at C2C Radio Show on Twitter and c2cradioshow.com. Website will be updated within the next day or so. I'll be looking into maybe adding a few pieces here and there. We're looking at, Brian mentioned it earlier, we are still looking at doing a video possibility, but it really comes down to what's going to work out best and for everybody's schedules. As things change, we'll let everybody know and keep you as informed as we possibly can. But, hey, it's good to be back. Good to be back in the saddle, and good to have fun things to talk about. I can't wait to see what happens next. It's really my thought.
Wrestle Kingdom happens next.
Well, Wrestle Kingdom's this week, so we'll be talking about it on the following show. Have a good week, everybody. Happy New Year to you. Happy 2024. We'll catch you next time right here on C2C. Have a great night, everybody.
We're out.
And we're out.